When your audio gets connected, Andrea, if you'll let me know that you can hear me, please, that would be greatly appreciated. This is Andrea, can you hear me? Lindsay Reese is on her way. She's getting caught at every light, she said. Looks like Andrea's still trying to connect. Lindsay Reese. I don't know if her audio is she's. Andrea, can you hear me? It's been doing that since you logged in. Close everything else out. Hey, Miss Kim, how are you?
Well, how was you?
Good. I owe you that form after today. Yeah, I'll send it to everybody. I'll send everybody from last year theirs too. Yeah.
I can't remember how it came. I think I did email, I think I was like, "Well, who's that?"
Yeah, I don't know if she's having connection issues or what, because I keep talking to her and I don't hear her. Yeah, but she's been that way for like 10 minutes. Yeah. I'm gonna grab the other. I can. Ironically, you say that. This morning, she got up and her eye was swollen. You know, she had some damage to the socket of her eye. Actually, she had to have mesh and, anyway, so she said something, it just was really puffy and didn't look right. So her primary care said, I'll fit you in. She's on the way to the emergency room now. They think she has ocular cellulitis. No, it doesn't, and I don't know what that all means. And then, of course, I'm like, honey, sorry, I'm heading to a meeting. I'll be in another meeting, then I'll call you.
Oh, geez,
You know,
it is what it is.
it's called life. How your parents?
Yeah, it's that when life interferes, that's,
Yes, yes,
I mean, when work interferes, when you.
yeah,
Simple things in life.
yeah, yeah. They're both 4-letter words, though. Have you ever noticed?
That's right. So other than that, she's.
Other than that, doing really well, recovering really well, doing some physical therapy. Still has some kinks, but getting there. Getting there.
All things considered.
All things considered, yeah, she's in fact, my granddaughter, today was their first day here back at First Pres, so she was here this morning. My bitty. Awesome. It's all good. It's all good.
How old is that? Really?
She's 3.
Oh.
Yep, she's 3, so this will be her last year here. And then she'll go to pre-K somewhere. Well, maybe stay here, depends on if I can. Because I don't know that they'll be able to do a full day. I don't, their economic situation, because my daughter won't go back to full-time work for at least another year.
What kind of work was she doing?
She was actually forklift driver for Walmart.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds pretty.
Yeah, it was pretty physical, pretty intense, yeah. And anything she's ever done her entire life, she's waitress and bartender, was always up and on her feet, and so anything she has experience doing she has a little family or a little side business at home. She's doing some of those t-shirts and stuff with all that stuff, but it has not enough to pay the bills yet.
Yeah, that's right.
Or steady enough, at least. Can someone confirm that they can hear me, please? Okay, Sandy can hear me. Okay, all right. I was having some difficulties. Please put your name and organization in the chat. We'll attach it to the sign-in sheet from here so that then we can have everybody's together. Hey, Miss Tay.
Hello, everyone.
Again, please put your name and organization in the chat box. We'll give it till 2 minutes after, and then we'll go ahead and get started. Hello, Miss Antoinese. Jamie Lee, was Danielle going to be here with us today?
Thanks, Pat.
Hey. Okay, I'm gonna put it on hold. I'm sorry, I'm gonna mute for another minute and then we'll get started. All right, we got about 30 seconds and we'll go ahead and get going here. Miss Andrea, can you hear us now? Okay, cool. Great. Go ahead and put your name and organization in the chat box, please. And we are going to get started, folks. I'll say this a million times between now and then, or in the end of this, but everything today, you are seeing the packet that you will receive in the email. It will also be posted to the website as a packet, and then each of the different materials will be unpackaged for you. So all the different forms will be available for you to hit print it out and do what you need to with it, send it in or whatever. So everything will be available to you. Let me just make sure that this is not somebody. Okay, this is Lindsay Reese, who it's Lindsay Reese from Hope Harbor. She's over at the United Way building. Okay, we'll give it a minute or two to get started. While we're waiting for Lindsay to get here, why don't we do this? Why don't we just let everyone introduce themselves, and we can go from there. As I'm breaking stuff over here. As all of you are aware, I'm Pat with Home for Good at the United Way, the Continuum of Care lead and the collaborative applicant for all of our federal funding that comes to the Department of Housing and Urban Development. And we're going to take it from Miss Kim here in the building. I'm gonna let you introduce yourself last, if that's okay with you. And you're not going to be able to see Kim because she's there. And if I try and pick it up, I'll probably do a screenshot of the ceiling or something. So Antoinette, you're first on our screen, so we'll let you go. Okay, Antoinette, are you not there? We can't hear you. Please unmute. Okay, Antoinette, we'll come back to you. Go ahead, Miss Tay.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tay Smith. I am the founder and executive director of Youth in Action Family and Children Services.
Miss Amanda.
Hey everybody, I'm Amanda. I'm here on behalf of United Way, helping out Miss Pat with some technical assistance and paperwork organization.
Okay, Miss Andrea. Miss Andrea, we can't hear you, so we're going to keep moving. Andrea Powell with Open Door Community House. Miss Jamie Lee.
Hey everybody, Jamie Lee Pierce, Safe House Ministries.
All right, Miss Sandy. You got to unmute yourself there, Sandy. I know Steve wishes he could find that mute button.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Sandy Watson from the House of Time, and I am the applications chair
The
for.
application committee chair. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I am. Thank you very much.
Antoinette.
Hello, I'm Antoinette Raw. I'm the Executive Director of Changing Faces Within Incorporated.
And here we have, can I just introduce you, Miss Kim Jenkins, who's the Executive Director of Open Door Community House. And like I said, Lindsay Reese from Hope Harbor is on her way from the United Way building, and she should be pulling up any moment. So grab yourself a water or something. We'll give her a minute or two to get here. That way we don't have to go back and cover everything. And that way everybody gets everything at the same time. Jamie Lee, again, was Danielle not going to join us?
To my knowledge, she was.
Okay, she might just be running late, that's all.
Yeah.
While we're talking about this, for those of you who have not been reading all the gazillion emails that have come from Denise and I or whatever, this being a unique year that we're juggling two notices of funding at the same time. The one came out June the 22nd. They had the first workshop June the 29th, but then the applications didn't come out till mid to late July 16th. And that's the NOFO for focusing on unsheltered homeless. And so that we have that going, and that's due October the 20th. We'll be doing a workshop on that starting at 3 o'clock today. And then of course, we're all sitting there going, we have this supplemental, this special thing. And then all of a sudden on August the 1st, our annual application notice, the notice, not the application, the notice dropped. And, truth, be told, it was on my first day of my vacation in the woods with my granddaughter and, my two granddaughters and 3 of their friends with spotty Wi-Fi when I was at the pool standing like this. That was it. And I go, oh my gosh, you're kidding me. So of course the notice drops on the 1st. I had staff here upload things to jump drives and bring them to the campground, literally. But the applications still have not posted as of this morning, as of 10 o'clock this morning. They have not posted. I know Sandy, you were on the call on last Thursday when
They did post this morning, Pat.
Did they?
Just recent, I mean, like just within the last few minutes.
I was gonna say, because at 10 o'clock this morning, when I checked it last time, it had not posted.
You're talking about the applications out there for the renewals and stuff, correct?
Correct.
Yes, they are out there now. I checked right before I got on the phone.
Okay, so everything that we're going over is still relevant, but the materials I will have to update then with the links. So it'll just take a few minutes. The emails will go out this evening between the time I get off the other call at 5 and 8 o'clock tonight, but you will get them tonight. They will also be posted to our website. So Sandy, if you can, while we're waiting, if you want to go ahead and email me the links to those real quick. That way, as soon as I get off, I can just pop it into my presentation and everything will be ready to go.
Okay, I'll do that.
That's exciting. So the applications are there, so we can, it's because we literally have 2 weeks from today to have all renewal projects in. And I'm going to say this, and this is a recording, and I have no problem saying this and repeating it. Get something in. Get something in. It's better to get it in and say, hey, I need you to kick it back because I need to make some adjustments or whatever, than to not have it in, because the HUD requirements and the deadlines are very, very, okay. I'm gonna have to send somebody to find Lindsay, so hang on. Hang on 1 second, guys.
I think you want to learn more.
Somebody else just came in. Okay. Well, welcome to you, Baja. If you will, make sure that you put your name, your full name, and your organization in the chat box so we can have a record of attendance. Charles has gone to find Lindsay, who I think is wandering around in our parking lot, trying to figure out which door to come in the building here. The church only has like 10 entrances. But as I was saying, with the timeline that HUD has given us, applications are due to HUD on September the 30th, which means our local competition, we have to back it up for 30 days. This is not our design. This is the HUD guidelines say your local application deadline has to be 30 days before the HUD deadline. So we're looking at August the 30th. We're looking at that. We moved it up a day because of 31 days in a month and 30 days in a month. We don't want to have it to where, oh, it was actually 31 days before, and I'm sorry, it was actually 29 days before, not 30 days before. So hello, welcome. So we want to make sure, but as I was saying, as we were waiting, if that's okay, the applications just hit today that had not been there. I mean, literally Sandy Watson said they just happened. Yes,
Okay.
they just happened. Okay. So I'll be updating all of this information I'm about to share with all of those links because we always send them out to everybody, but everything else, everything else remains the same. As I was saying, the timeline is very short. I mean, we've never had a 2-week time from the time they dropped to the time we had to have them in. We don't make these deadlines. This is a HUD established deadlines. Get something in. Even if you copy it, get something submitted, and then turn around and say, hey, for scoring, I need to readjust some things. Get it in. Get it in.
It's pretty much transferred right over.
Yes, it does.
Even if you're combining them.
Your other ones are gonna, your old projects are gonna come over, but your combined project's not gonna come over.
I don't have to combine.
Your other ones are gonna come over. Yes, you can bring those over, but then you have to do one that's combined. So you do both of the other ones, and Sandy, correct me if I'm wrong, because you've done this a million times. You do the 2 applications, you do the regular ones, and then you do a combined one.
That is correct.
For the same thing.
Yep. So you're gonna be doing 3.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
There's a whole lot that didn't make sense this year. All right, we're ready to get started.
Sorry, I'm late.
That's okay. Lindsay Reese from Hope Harbor's here.
Yeah.
And she brought somebody with her, to hopefully keep her.
She's working in development. She's working on the grant.
Oh, awesome. God bless you. It's gonna be a fun time. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and start sharing. Again, this is the same packet that we had intended to post online, but we'll have a few additions, which will be just the links to the applications, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and hopefully this thing will transfer. I'm doing it this way because in a PowerPoint, sometimes I end up hitting it and making changes. I want everyone to see the same thing and it to be exactly what we're posting. Okay, welcome, all that other stuff. We've already said hello to everybody, so you guys say hey, okay? We'll quickly talk about a continuum of care. Of course, it's the federal funding designed for homeless services and primarily housing and housing related services for those experiencing homelessness in a community. Continuum of care is a designation from the Department of Housing and Urban Development. Our continuum of care is Muskogee County in Georgia and Russell County in Alabama. I'm not going to read slides to you guys because you're going to get a copy of them anyway. Lots of committees that do the work behind the scenes, the steering committee, the board, whatever you want to call it, sort of leads the things, sets the standards, reviews what's going on, has chairs and vice chairs and secretaries that serve on other committees throughout the United Way and throughout the community. Performance and outcomes talks about what we're doing, how we're doing it, setting goals, looking at gaps, doing analysis. Application committee, like Sandy said, she's the head of the application committee, meets every year for about 3 months to intensely look at the application. Then after that, looks at where we went wrong, what we did well, what we didn't do well. Speaking of which, I'm going to insert right here that everybody who's applied last year, I'll be sending you copies of your scorecards from last year again. So just so you can see where you were that way. And also while I'm saying that, if you have questions or anything about the application, because I am the collaborative applicant, there are certain things I can and cannot answer. I can't tell you how to build a program and all those other things, but it's like, hey, how do I upload this form or whatever? All of them need to be in writing because I will respond to you and copy everybody else. That way everybody's getting the same answers to the same questions at the same time. You had a question already? Not yet? Okay, cool. Mainstream outreach is going out, doing outreach. Obviously, we know what outreach is on the Riverwalk and under the bridges, but also connecting folks with those mainstream services like,
Ms. Pat,
health insurance. Yes.
we can't see the slides. Were we supposed to
Oh,
be seeing it right
You
now?
know what? I'm glad somebody said that.
Thank you.
Now, Sandy, you're the one that normally gets me first. Is that better?
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Okay, all right. HMIS or Homeless Management Information System is our database that we use to track programs. We track enrollment. We look at how successful we are in exiting people from homelessness. Our folks in our domestic violence or victim service providers use a comparable database to track their information. So we can all look at aggregate data of where we are and how we're managing our information and the people that go along with that information. Oh no, come on. And now my other view is messed up. Hold on one second. Let me see if I can get it both ways here. Okay. All righty, here we go. Coordinated Entry Committee talks about how folks enter the system. It's that no wrong door, central point of access for folks to enter the service provider arena to get referrals on immediate and long-term solutions, ultimately permanent housing being the goal. Point in time count. Obviously, we do a point in time count every year that involves actually enumerating the number of folks experiencing homelessness in our community, be they sheltered or unsheltered. And we have a group of 50+ volunteers who do that every year. And the committee works from about October through the end of February to make sure that those things happen seamlessly. And we do our necessary reporting to our federal, local, and state partners. Landlord engagement is a brand new committee. I say brand new. We've been doing it for about 3 months now from the board to try and enhance relationships with landlords, with service providers.
To help you get a.
I'm sorry, if you're not addressing the group, if you can just mute, please.
Office, the councilman, like, told me and the brother that I talked to.
So trying to increase the availability of affordable, safe, affordable housing in the community, and having a more collaborative approach to that with landlords in the community.
He's telling me a little bit about the program. He was a real cool brother, ended up being a real cool brother. But
I'm gonna stop sharing for just a minute. I'm gonna go ahead and mute everyone in the group.
You know, thinking.
All right, let me go back to sharing here. All righty. Committee chairs here. Let me get rid of this view. Let me go to full screen here. All right, committee chairs here. Some of them are here in the room or on the screen here. So thank you for your service on that. Board members, housing authorities on both sides, Columbus Consolidated Government, Phoenix City Government, law enforcement, some community partners like Feeding the Valley. Our folks over at Synovus now have a person serving on the board, and to try and enhance access to employment services. Ms. Kristen Barker from Better Work Columbus just joined our board. So real diverse group there, and hopefully heading in the direction that will show greater improvement going forward. All right, let's get into the competition. Those of you who've been around before, if you remember, it was always about 450 COCs or continuums of care across the country. Well, there's been a lot of consolidation over the past couple of years. So right now there's right at 400. Right at 400 COCs competing in this competition. And I'm going to say continue to see competition because it is a two-tiered process. It's a national composition. Our community and our score is competing against other communities for money. And those of you here locally, are competing to be at the top of the list because there is a tiering process and 5% of what we are allotted, and we'll go over the numbers, it's right at $1.7 million, is at risk every year. This year's 5%, last year it was 6%, the year before that it was 7%, is at risk of not being funded if we fall below what the median is for all of the community scores. It's a 200 point scoring possible. And usually it's around 155 to 158 is the median score. And so if we are at or above median score, we're less likely or not going to lose money. If we are below that, then we're likely going to lose that money. So one of the reasons that we focus a lot on that, how we bring all these project applications together into that greater consolidated application. Talking about performance and all those other things, community engagement. Again, one of the reasons that some of the folks are now serving on the board. One of the reasons that we've enhanced some of the programs and all, because we had to. For those of you who may have participated recently in a community planning survey that we did, and we'll go over that more in just a little bit. That is a huge part of what we are hoping to get across in this application to take our community higher. You know, I was excited that we had 46 people to answer the survey. That's huge when we only sent it out to about 200. So that's, you know, that's what 40% to 20% participation, which is really good. Usually you get less than 10. But 26, and I'm going to show you a slide at the end here to show exactly how many, but over 26% of those were people with lived experience. So we're getting the answers from the folks who are out there or have been out there. So that's some of the things that we're doing locally to try and increase our scores for the national competition. We need to make sure that your application is competitive. Again, the first thing is to make sure it gets in. Make sure the doggone thing is turned in. It's very easy to say, hey, I sent it in. Can you go ahead and get it? But for scoring, but we need to meet those deadlines. We've got to make sure that we're looking at it. We're looking at the stuff that you need, that we're meeting the deadlines, and we can show that we posted those, because we have to physically show screenshots. The applications were there, they were posted to our website and everything else by that deadline. Yes, yes. And you're going to get a copy of all that too. So again, assuring that your project is eligible for HUD funding, and we'll go over to the eligible projects here. But just a reminder, emergency shelter, prevention are not allowable in this. Transitional, unless it's a renewal, is not allowable unless it's connected to a rapid rehousing. Make sure your application is complete. I haven't been able to get past the submission part unless my application was complete. But I've heard of people submitting incomplete applications, so I always put that on there. Just making sure. I always have someone who doesn't know anything about it to look over it to, number one, see if it makes sense, and number two, see if there's anything that's missing. It may be as simple as putting an NA somewhere so it doesn't look like you've ignored it. If there's a blank and it doesn't apply to you, I would always put that. COC application, project listing, and the project application. That's what we all have to bundle together to submit. And that's one of the reasons that Amanda is here, because it is a huge undertaking in our normal year when we're working on, you know, a 60 to 90 day window, when we're looking at less than 6 weeks of getting this all packaged up and out the door, and making sure that everybody's project and all of the forms that go along with it, the forms we have to submit to the city that have to then go through 2 departments there for signature and then get back to us. It's a lot. So those are the parts of the application. The priority or the project listing will have, after we've done our local competition, you're scored, you will receive the scores, you'll have a chance to appeal. We'll go over all of those logistics in a minute. Once those appeals are over, the project listing will become official. We will note it in the system. We will post it on the website, and that will drive who is at the top or who's at the bottom and who could potentially lose that 5%. All right, again, our annual renewal demand, the amount that we would be just rolling over from last year is 1.668 million. And again, this will be adjusted for fair market rent likely in January. So that number is going to change a little bit. So, and Kim, I'm going to pick on you. If Kim's project was applying for 200,000 and 75,000 of that was rent. And there was an increase of 10%. I have to do round numbers. And there was an increase of 10% in fair market rent. So she would get an extra 7,500 in her grant. That's just sort of how that works out. Nobody knows what that's going to look like till it comes out. The amount that we likely could lose or that would be at risk in that tier 2, that 5% like I talked about, is $103,000. Domestic violence bonus is again available for funding at 149,000. And I'm not going to read all of this to you. I'm sending you all of this. 204. The COC bonus we can use for permanent supportive housing, like I said, chronically for the chronically homeless housing, HMIS or supportive services. We could possibly use that. COC planning, which is, running the COC and planning all of these events and this, that, and the other, 50,000. So I'm sorry, it's 1.9. I understated. 1.9 is what we're eligible for. If we got all of those this year. Again, not available, emergency shelter, prevention, new transitional, unless it's part of that joint transitional rapid rehousing, and no supportive services only, meaning you couldn't do outreach, you couldn't do community case management or whatever, only coordinated entry, or they call it coordinated assessment, is allowable for supportive services. And I literally copy these from the HUD notice. So you've seen them, I know, but these are the policies and the program priorities for HUD. These are the things that we have to weave into our applications and everything we do in every day in operating our agencies. Excuse me. So it's all about, like you said, the number 9 here, increasing affordable housing supply. Landlord engagement, persons with lived experience. We did the survey to include people who had experience, to ask them, what do you need? What are we not doing well? If anybody here was there, got beat up. That's what happens when you got a room full of, we had 45 people and who were hot in summer in Georgia and they're tired and all this other stuff. But the conversation needed to happen. And we picked out, or we hopefully have built a relationship with a handful that really want to be part of a solution and not part of a complaining party. So that we're interested to have that going forward. Partnering with health housing authorities, obviously on the board, talking about partnering with health agencies, whether it be Piedmont, whether it's Mercy Med, all these things. So I'm not going to belabor this, but these are things that are priorities and we have to weave it into, again, our application, but looking at that application and what we say we're going to do and putting it into practice the month after and the month after and the month after and the month after.
And do we need to leave that into ours, or that just a big one?
No, this is the priorities for everybody. Yes. Yeah. Because you play a part in that. You connect your person with this agency and then everybody plays a part in the collective. Permanent housing, if anybody wants to do new construction or whatever, be my guest. How you could manage that in 1 year, in a 1-year grant, I have no idea. They say you can stretch it out for 3 years, but that doesn't increase your money. That just, you have longer to spend it, but it doesn't increase the money. But of course, there's other things of HMIS, the transitional or supportive services, renewals, and anything for coordinated entry. And the toolkit and the eligible costs, these links on everything that I'm sending you actually work. scoring sheet. We have a possible 122 points. There's a question or two that were changed, altered, added, made a little harder this year. A lot of it comes out of HMIS data and system performance, and it all has to do with those priorities that HUD had in there. Okay, talking about how to apply, and this will be updated because we will have the, you know what, Sandy, I may not need to change anything after all. Hold on one second. I know in the eSnaps will take me right to it, but I wonder if someone clicks right here, if it's gonna take, we're gonna go here together, guys. If it will take them directly to your project applications. Okay, they're not here, but they were on eSnaps, you said?
Yes, they're on eSnaps.
Okay, so they're on eSnaps. So that's what I will have to do go back and make the connections here. But the notice, as you saw, is here, and it goes into the detail. And then eSnaps right here. For those of you who don't have eSnaps, on the front page, on the previous page, the link I had went to tells you how to get an eSnaps account and everything else, because this is the only way you can apply. So let's go back to that really quickly. Let's make sure, because I see some folks on here that I don't believe have an eSnaps account. I want to make sure we're being fair to everybody.
I haven't used that, she used mine, or I didn't create her.
No, that your agency, it's one per agency. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Just making sure there was nobody trying to get in that could not get in or whatever. I'm just making sure here that there's an access to eSnaps here. Okay, how to access, it's FY21. All right, while we're here together, I'm glad I have my little sheet here. I can make the change and write this down. Let's do this really quickly. Okay, this talks about how to, I will put this link on how to access eSnaps because this is the same. And this is about setting up new users and everything else. So let me just write that down really quickly for those who need it. And that way it'll be on these slides and everybody will have the same information, but we will click a link to the eSnaps website on the, project applications on the slide deck as well. So again, Department of Housing and Urban Development is the notice. eSnaps is where you'll go. And again, there's the link where I was going to put them. So I sent me a placeholder. Yay. Again, I'm going to repeat this again. If you have not, please put your name and organization in the chat box. We will attach it to the attendance here so we can note that everybody who applied did indeed attend. All right.
Hey,
the
Pat, can I
timeline.
say something real quick?
Yes, ma'am.
On the project renewals, if you can go in and submit without changes, that is a preferred method according to the conference call last week. That is the preferred method if there is no changes, especially if you found a small change from last year, like a misspelling or something like that. They're still recommending you submit it without changes if at all possible. I did try to, I went out there on eSnaps earlier and started my new projects by importing last year's information. And that's how you can submit without changes. You have to import last year's information. Well, I have 3 projects and one of them did not import, and I tried it several times and it did not work. So I had to actually I will actually have to redo my application. So if you do have troubles where your information is not importing, I can tell you that I've put in a ticket to see what the problem is, but 2 out of 3 of mine did import, but 1 did not.
Okay. And in fact, thank you for that. I'm going to add to our slide deck, Sandy, the list or the link to put in a ticket for help desk or some issues with this because it's not the usual HUD ask a question link that you go to. So I'll go ahead and add that. Thank you for bringing that up. I will add that to the slide deck here, so that everybody has access to, if there's a problem, if you're going through, it's like, I can't get here, where you can, and because it is in the middle of competition, the turnaround time is usually very quickly. If you have one, can I suggest, if I can suggest that when you submit a ticket, if you have a ticket that needs to go in, you're having some problems with your application, you not only send it to the help desk asking for assistance, but you copy myself as a collaborative applicant on it, and that you save it in a hard copy or in somewhere you have a copy of it, because if there's ever an issue, if there's a concern about, well, you didn't say anything, you can say, yes, I did. So copy everybody under the sun on it. It's not going to hurt anything to have more people involved. Hang on with that. I'm gonna walk over and close this door. I think they're getting out of the Sorry about that, guys. But again, the HUD deadlines, so the NOFO which is the Notice of Funding Opportunity, was released on August the 1st. It doesn't mean the applications came down. Those according to reports now, they just happened today. August the 12th, they did finally list what we were going to be available to renew for and what our bonuses were. I mean, literally that was on Friday afternoon that information was made available. On the 28th of September, so we have to do a public posting, a public comment time of 2 days prior to the application submission deadline. Again, this is HUD guidelines. This is their regulation. So on September 28th, we're going to have to post to our website the complete application, meaning the local consolidated application, which is the community application, and everybody's project application that goes along with it. We have to post it up there for everybody to see and comment on. Okay. We have built in a day buffer. We're going to post it on the 27th just to be safe, because eSnaps will crash. The printer will go down. This will happen. This will happen. This will happen. And you guys know I'm crazy already. I don't need any more. September 30th is the HUD deadline at 8 p.m. because that's 5 o'clock Pacific time. Yeah. It does, because that's the statutory deadline for obligating those funds. Yep. Yes. Yep. So September 3rd, but yeah, great pointing out. That means Kim was paying attention. You didn't catch that part.
I can't see it. That is something that you say, I mean, regularly.
But there's a deadline for obligation of the funds. It has to be by September 30th of 2024. We'll all be out of money way before that, but it's just one of those things. They have to put in the deadline, because someone will say, well, you didn't tell me how quickly I had to spend it. It's a year from when you signed the grant, so that's September 30th, 2 years from that day. Okay, our local deadline, again, today we're talking about what's available and how we can use it. And again, this is being recorded. This will be posted to the recording will be posted to our website on Friday. All the slides and everything else will be out today. Those are ready to go. Our review and rank, which is our committee that gets together, there's a group of 5 that get together and we'll go over your project applications and look at the scoring compared to the criteria. They will begin training on August the 30th. And you guys, Sandy and I are already working on our big application, and we will be until the last minute of when we hit send. Honestly, it will be, she'll call me and say, Pat, you didn't put a T here, or you should have highlighted this or whatever, but we'll be working on that until literally till we send it off. Project applications are due in on the 29th of August. And that's again, because if there's 31 days in, again, just get something in, because we have to, with it being 31 days in August, my luck, there would be a technicality. Well, because there were 31 days, you waited a day too late to have them submitted because again, HUD needs them in. Project applications have to be into the local continuum 30 days before the deadline. Don't want to take that chance. Don't want to take that chance. So, again, review and rank, they're gonna look at on September 6th, which is the day after Labor Day. They're gonna meet to rank the projects, okay? Preliminary list will send out, appeals will go out. I suspect because it's such a deadline that we will have to have some appeals this year. Not just because Kim doesn't like Lindsay or Lindsay doesn't like Kim, but because, hey, I had to make some adjustments. We were pressed, we had to get an application in. I fully suspect that's going to happen. Be nice if we could all just get it in, but I fully suspect it's going to happen, okay? Because it's a tight deadline and we're all trying to do the best we can. We send out the preliminary list, you have 3 days to send in an appeal. The committee will meet and go over the appeals and make a final decision because we gotta move on because we have to post and notify everyone individually and then collectively at least 15 days before the due date. So then we're talking September 15th. Everyone has to be notified. So our projection is we're going to do about September the 12th. Is going to be the notification. The board will officially finalize it on the 15th when they meet, and then we can post it. And then we go to the website, and then we'll submit again our application to HUD. So I'm not saying thank you. That was the end of that presentation. We're going to go over the process and the timeline. Again, I think everyone has received this, so I'm not going to read line by line. And I did check the slides, and every date that's there is here as well. But this just gives you an outline of when everything is due and what's going to be happening in the community and not only with your project. And you will get this as well. All of this, can you please send me email addresses and everything else that way? Because I include everybody under the sun. So we will be sending this out again. The scoring, going over a couple things, and again, the things that haven't changed, I'm not going to hit on. The HUD priorities have not changed. For the second question here, I didn't number the questions, but the second question, the HUD priorities here, because we're still trying to focus on making sure we get people directly from the streets or shelter. Because again, that's one of HUD's big things is making sure people get access as quickly as possible. But one of the things we added was that local priority here that says, will the project increase access to housing as prioritized by community impact? And we're about to show you at the end of this, the survey results from that community impact, okay? So the target population, something to think about, and something that HUD said a lot in the email, in the notices that I was looking, severe barriers. They didn't say multiple barriers. They didn't say mental health. It was, so we are taking that and using that as part of our scoring. One of the things we've learned over the years is if there's something you keep seeing, you need to put it in there. So severe barriers, and in the literature, it's talking about those who've been marginalized, those who've been overrepresented in the homeless population, but underrepresented in the general population. Those are all severe barriers. So we're looking at that, and again, Lindsay being a victim service provider, we will get her information from her comparable database. This is the word I couldn't get out, sorry. Comparable database as aggregate data, just like we do everybody else's. I won't be looking at Kim's clients. All I'll be looking at is the data if her folks are having those severe barriers. So it will be, does this person have a disability? Does this person have problems with alcoholism, physical, chronic health conditions, those kinds of things? And yes, is this person part of the ethnic or racial minorities in our general population that are overrepresented in the homeless populations? We we would need it, just send it when you submit your application. Yes, obviously you would have to do it separately, because the scoring will take place the following week. Local target populations, again, this was taken directly from those surveys we recently did. And this is the order in which the folks who were there and the folks who contributed to those surveys said. So number one, chronically homeless families with minor children. Number two, non-chronic individuals or families with a disability. Number three, non-chronic families with minor children. And everybody else just was about equal in there. So, sorry, I almost pulled the cord out there, guys. So those are the top three priorities. And we're looking at has your program traditionally served that population, or will you be? But most of this is aggregate data and data from HMS. Oops, sorry, it went too far. Talking about housing stability, that hasn't changed from last year. Uh-oh. Where am I? Project description. Okay, hold on. There we go. Are you using housing first principles? Again, same thing as last year. You will need to separately submit an intake packet. Just a quick story here. This means what you actually give clients to fill out. We had an organization one time that, yes, with their packet, we got one application, but when a client went over there to apply, they got a different one. And the different one they got required that they be a year sober, and they have this certification, and they have this and that and the other, which wasn't in line with. So again, one of the reasons we started saying we need to see a packet, making sure that we're not putting up unnecessary barriers to enrollment. Are you compliant with coordinated entry? Are you serving the population that you said you would serve? What are your occupancy numbers for the past year? Talking about, are your budgets right? Do your numbers add up? Those kinds of things. Again, if you have over $100,000 in federal or funds or charitable donations or grants, you need to submit a independent audit from last year, and the dates and all that are on there, and your 990 needs to be included as well. How quickly can you proceed? Okay, everyone says, yeah, I can get my match. I can get my match. I don't care how you get it, but it has to be able to be documented, and we have to have verification of that in writing. Yes, there's $45,000 match. Here's my letter from my banker at Synovus. It says I have $45,000 in the bank, kind of thing. Okay, not that I think my mom's going to come volunteer 2 days a week and I'm going to pay her $150 an hour. And it's going to be an in-kind donation. No, that doesn't work. Yes.
So is this the same thing as the letter that we sent to HUD, or is this just something that we addressed?
It can be the same thing. Don't make it hard on yourself. Yes, don't make it hard on yourself.
Okay.
Yep.
The letter to HUD, like we do, we just say our match is funded by this secretary. We get a letter from the bank, and then we send a letter, Matt saying that's.
What you sent to us every year from the bank was fine, but yeah, yep. But we need to verify it. What HUD's expecting us to do as a COC, as a collaborative applicant, is when you send the letter to Ted and say, hey, I've got this amount of money and my match is gonna be $11,462.52, that we have verified that you actually have that money. So that's why we're asking for that. So maybe I answered my question would be no. We need something from the financial institution or whoever is giving you the match.
Like we would normally send that.
Yep. Income growth, are folks growing in income? We need to leave folks better than we found them. And remove this thing here. Returns to homelessness. What do those look like? Again, these are measured by system performance measures. This is coming straight out of database. It's running those data. It's show me what you've done, not tell me what you're going to do, kind of thing. Data quality reports, are they in line with the COC's data quality management plan? Employment services, again, changes in earned income show that we're having folks are getting access to employment services. Those are those mainstream services I talked about earlier. Are you participating in the housing inventory count, project equity analysis? So here, if you remember last year, excuse me, you had to say if you've done a study on, are there barriers to those who've been marginalized traditionally, and what are your plans to address that? Changed it up a little bit this year to looking at your data and your enrollments. Have you done something about making sure that your programs are accessible to those who have been marginalized traditionally? Talking about anti-discrimination, the COC back in 2017 implemented a anti-discrimination policy, and we need to make sure that every agency is complying with that in accordance with what we have in our governance structure. And again, it's making sure you have anti-discrimination policies. You're gonna treat everybody the same, and you're gonna allow access and those kinds of things. Okay. And COC participation, obviously, you know, need to be participating in the COC. For those who are new and those who that unfortunately the old folks have to have towed the line for the past year, you're gonna get a pass on that. If you're new to the process, obviously can't hold you accountable for 2021. And then serving on a committee, everyone is expected to do that. That gets funding. All right, so let me move this up. All right, this form is this next form here is a financial declaration statement, just saying the financial information that you provided, you're saying it's the truth. You haven't taken another agency's and whited out their name and put your name on it and send it over or whatever. Not that it's ever happened, but it's happened somewhere else for us to be asked to do this. So there we go. The appeals process, we talked about the 15-day deadline, like we said here, that we have to notify everybody. So again, why we're making sure that everyone knows that appeals will be done and notified on the September the 12th. That way we're well outside of that 15-day window, and we're okay. We're safe there. And this again will be part of your packet. Everything must be done by email. And if guys, do yourself a favor, put a read receipt on there, and keep a copy of it, no matter what you do. Okay, the checklist for your application. Obviously your application in eSnaps. Any attachments, I've never known it to let you submit or to let you go any further. Yeah, let you submit if all your attachments weren't there. But things happen, so make sure if it's a requirement that it's there. Your intake packet for your clients we talked about to make sure that we're housing first. Your financials, your 990, your independent audit if it's applicable, a copy of the anti-discrimination policy, excuse me, and your signed financial statement. All right, before we go any further and go. Yes, ma'am. All of those are emailed to me. Thank you for that, Lindsay. And I'll make sure I'm going to actually add that to the bottom of the checklist, a little asterisk that they're all emailed to Pat.
And the racial equity, Pat, is there, because I thought there has to be a document part of your application or something that states that. So is that something different that you need?
The racial equity, no, we're looking at enrollments over the past year.
Just through the HMIS?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
All right.
Yes, ma'am. All right, so looking at this, this is the results of that survey we did a couple weeks ago. Actually, it was supposed to end on the 9th of September. September, I'm sorry. What month are we in? This is August. It was supposed to end on August the 9th. We actually ended it on August the 11th. We did a push to make sure we got some real participation, because we only had 4 or 5 folks with lived experience and we wanted a little bit more. So thanks to those of you who answered the call when we said, hey, if you run into anybody today and you're talking with someone who is homeless or has been homeless before, please ask them these questions. So the the graphs here clearly indicate that the priorities for our community, and the projects that we're currently serving, because we don't have any projects that serve homeless youth in our community. Luckily, it hasn't been an issue. Yeah, luckily, it has not been an issue. But chronically homeless families with minor children, again, I'm sending you copies of all of this, guys. It will be posted to our website too. There will also be in our newsletter on Friday, where we'll talk about how we did the survey, who participated, not particular people, but who participated in those kinds of things. So chronically homeless families with minor children, chronically homeless persons with family with a disability, the non-chronic homeless families with minor children, that should have been next. So families obviously are at the top of the list. Families with minor children are at the top of the list. A family is those who present with as a family. Yes, yes, you and I could say we were a family with my gazillion children, yes. Mhm.
I missed that.
Whomever presents, yes.
Did you say that there is an organization that serves homeless youth? Is that what you said?
I'm sorry, I couldn't understand you. Say that again.
Did you say that there's no organization that serve homeless youth?
There is not a one that is designated and structured to only serve homeless youth. Youth being those 17 to 24 is defined by HUD. They're usually served through the providers we already have. We don't have one that's dedicated to just that.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Now, and I'd like to add to that, if you do not mind, your organization, such as like the House of Time, we accept clients 18 and over. So technically we do serve 18 to 24, 17 or 18 to 24 youth, but we cannot claim that we do it just for youth because
Correct.
that's not our focus, correct?
Correct. You were gonna say, Kim?
That's not, no, we're good.
Okay. So then we're looking at, and I'm getting old, so I'm gonna have to increase the size here. Then we asked folks to prioritize what type of projects we needed. And this primarily was for the notice that I'm going to discuss at 3 o'clock, which is the additional money that's coming into our community. But because we needed to see what I was off on the fly trying to do a gap analysis. I know what I think, but I wanted someone's opinion other than mine, trust me. So we were looking at what do we need, and we threw everything out there and said pick one or two or three or four. So clearly the front runner is permanent supportive housing, meaning housing that has intensive case management and the person has been homeless for 12 months or 4 times in the past 3 years that equal 12 months and has a disability. Number 2 on the housing spectrum was rapid rehousing. So we're looking at permanent housing, rapid rehousing, but then surprisingly, when we're looking at supportive services, which again is something that is not covered in this grant, but if you're thinking about it, it is covered in the other one and at a longer time frame to do the application, October 20th, just throwing that out there. Case management, street outreach, and HMIS, which is of course administered through Home for Good. Those were seen as the top 3 needs. I was screaming for joy when I saw that folks recognized that case management was a need in our community. Because if your program can only case manage for 6 months or so, on the 7th month, that person is homeless again. If we hadn't straightened out the reason they became homeless to begin with. And I don't know anyone who can do a lifestyle change from no place to go to bills and kids and electric bill and plumbing issues and car problems and everything else in 6 months. And I go, what? I don't know what I'm doing. And then end up back where they started. So again, I will share these with you as part of the packet. They will be posted on our website. They will be part of our newsletter on Friday, where we have an article about getting community input on this. And then this was the part that I saw, I wanted to show you. I I took a snippet from the thing because it had everybody who responded. If you put in your phone number or your email address, it showed up down here. And I didn't want to give that out to everybody. So this is just a snippet of that part of the responses. But this 26.1% or 12, those are folks experiencing homelessness or with lived experience. That was huge to me. I was very giddy excited about that. So that should be the end of my slides. I made it go. Yep, that is it. So I'm going to stop sharing. And we've got some time to have some chit chat or not. That's completely up to you guys. Let me make sure we have everybody in the chat box.
What was Sandy saying about the application?
All right, Sandy, talk to about the application again, the comments you were making.
What did she ask? I can't understand her.
I think she was,
Talking about moving the application over.
yeah, she was talking when you were trying to copy with no changes.
Oh, sorry.
Hey, baby.
Hold on, let me get my dog out of here, guys. She is not happy, sorry. Okay, when I was talking.
If it was my house, it would be kids yelling. I got it.
Right. What I was saying earlier about the application not importing or what?
Yes. Go back to the beginning of how you did that.
Okay, in eSnaps, first of all, you, as Pat said, you have to have an account in eSnaps. And when you go in there, if anyone has any problems, y'all are welcome to call me and I can walk you through, pull it up on your screen and walk you through, because you have to register as a funding opportunity. You have to register your company to do that first. And then when you go down to the projects, it'll ask you, it'll give a list. And of that list of projects, it will say renewal projects. It also has new projects, that type of stuff. But naturally, with a new project, you won't import information. It'll just give you the new project for 2022 cycle. In the renewal projects, you will go down to fiscal year 2022 renewal project. You will select that, and then it will give you boxes underneath there where you import from, and it will give you a list of last year's applications. So you will name this year's application, and then you will be able to pick that same application from last year. Well, as I mentioned before, I had 3 applications. Of the 3, only 2 imported my information. On my homeless to a home, which happens to be my most lengthy one, it picked favorites with me and it did not bring over that information. I thought, I did it the same way. So I thought maybe I'll try it again, and it still would not import it for whatever reason. So to me, I put in a ticket, but to me, it's just going to be easier to copy and paste what I had last year because there's really no changes. And so with that one, I have to submit with changes because there's nothing in the new one. But the other 2, I've got to take time to glance over them, keeping in mind that if you glance over your renewal application and you get to a page that you read, if you hit save and next to that next page, whether you changed anything or not, it will not let you go back and save without changes. So make sure you just look at it and you back out of it, because it's going to then assume that you made changes to that page if you save it. So just keeping those things in mind. But to save without changes, on the call last week, they stressed that several times, that because if they approved it last year, they're pretty much going to approve it this year if it's a renewal. So they like to save without changes if that can happen.
Hang on one second, Sandy. We're going to try and get volume up here. Hold on.
One of the questions I was because the language severe versus severe, like they are stressing. So I was on my call last week, and they are stressing if you can renewals, resubmit without making
And
changes.
that's the budget too.
So
in
if there
there.
are no changes.
I mean, like, you know,
They're gonna make your FMR changes anyway.
Yeah. they will.
okay,
It goes-
so just,
So,
yeah,
yes,
I want case management support services in mind. I wrote it in there last year and they didn't give me all of that.
then it's still renewal without changes.
So just leave it.
Yeah, just leave it alone.
And with that, that's simply like, that's done and submitted, and then we just get you the other stuff.
Yeah.
and Finished.
So I think the language changes are gonna have to be in the COC.
We're gonna have to buff it up,
Yeah.
buff it up. You know what I'm trying to say? Yeah.
Yeah. 'cause
Yes,
they're asking-
Yeah, Kim's absolutely right. The major changes are
bet.
not in the individual applications, Kim. The majority of the changes that will have to be made is in the consolidated application. I mean, they made this year's renewals very easy, very easy. It should not take you long at all to submit your stuff.
So like with mine, would it just be better to submit them as individual applications again or try to combine?
If it was me at this time of the year, I would go ahead and do them just the way they were and leave them be.
And that was the DB bonus that I got last year, however, we haven't gotten a contract on it, we haven't started spending it.
Okay, you need to sign some, because you have to have a contract before the due date of September 30th. So your rep, you need to send them an email, include me and everybody else under the sun, say, hey, we're applying, we have to have a grant assigned before we can apply. And if you remember, right. This is the new one, right, that's correct. If you remember, I think it was last year, we had to do it last year, and it was the Friday before Labor Day. We have to have a contract signed by HUD by September 30th. So for your renewals or your new ones from last year. She got a new one. She got two renewals. You got two renewals, but she had a DV bonus from last year that they haven't signed a new contract.
So is Lindsay the one that's doing the combining her 3 grants?
I wanted to combine my, I've had to wait.
She can combine 2 at this point. One's a new one she can't combine yet. Yeah.
Okay, so because she hasn't done an APR or anything on it.
Right. Correct.
So she's going to combine the 2.
But thinking about that, do we want to do that this year or do we want to wait to next year?
To be honest with you, I would almost wait. That would just be me, because you're going to have to go through the same thing again next year. And this year you can submit without changes and you're done. I mean, I almost would, that's just whatever Lindsay decides to do is perfectly fine, but that would almost be, it almost would make life easier to wait to consolidate. It just gives you one more year of 2 APRs or 3 APRs total instead of 1. And the consolidation has worked, wonders for me. It has cut down on my workload significantly.
Okay. Well, I'll probably wait to do that just because of the term.
Yep. Okay, other questions, other concerns, other anything? I'm looking at my list here to put an asterisk on the checklist that all things need to be emailed to Pat. Go to eSnaps and be able to, or I'm sorry, put a link to the project applications on the site there, on the slide deck, I should say. Put a link to the help desk where you would submit a ticket if you had a problem on the slide deck here.
Can you put the
And-
eSNAP? I'm sorry.
Go ahead, go, please.
Put the eSNAP's website in the chat box.
Yeah, I can do that. If-
And if they've never applied, there's a lot of things that have happened before.
Mhm. Yes, if you have not applied for federal funding, of course, eSNAP says how you get there, but you have to have your DUNS number and your unique identifying number and all those other things. And those are all in the notice you'll be linked to in here. So all of those things have to be part of they're part of your applicant profile. which you can't, that you can't do. I mean, you can't get into an application without creating an applicant profile. So I would suggest again, and it's one of the emails that have been going out and in this too, one of the things is read the notice before you go any further. Read the notice before you go any further. But hold on one second.
Also read the detailed instructions that come with the individual applications. And it
Yep.
tells you if you're a new applicant, it seems overwhelming, but it really is not that bad. If you read the detailed instructions, once you get into eSnaps, it's right up there to tell you, I mean, you'll see where it's at. You read the detailed instructions, it literally will go question by question of how you need to answer whatever it is.
Every
How would
question.
you, every single question, if you use that detailed instructions as a guideline, you cannot go wrong. You will give them everything that they need to know.
And I was trying to see if the detailed instructions were posted yet. And they were not earlier, no. Okay, no.
Again, they are in eSnaps, but I don't know if they are.
I'll go ahead and go into eSnaps and pull all of those things down for everyone. I'd rather give you too much information than not enough information. And you're exactly right, Sandy. The detailed instructions literally takes you, go to this website, click here, right click here. I mean, I know my first year, I would sit there step by step. And it made it so much, and I felt like I had a tutor. It was great. It was great. Yes, Kim.
Just for clarification,
Yes, ma'am.
so we submit everything to eSnaps, and to you specifically, we send everything on the checklist page.
With the asterisks. That's gonna have an asterisk. I'm gonna update it now, so you'll know exactly what to send to me.
I think it's everything but the application.
Yep, yep, yep.
So the 990, the audit,
Yep,
the financial
yeah,
declaration,
yep.
And there's multiple projects, you only have one.
Yes. I will need a match for each one. Unless you have a match that's all inclusive.
I've never seen it.
She has to do an individual match.
Yeah.
But I mean, for us to, yes, you'll have to do an individual match for the programs, absolutely. But me, as long as I can, if she's saying she has it in her account at Synovus and she's got 150,000 and she only needs 75, we're gonna verify that. We verified she had the money at the time. And whether she spent it the next day or not, I can't do anything about that. Mm-hmm. Well, you got a score for it, so yes, ma'am, you did.
And I will tell you that HUD asked us, because we use a bank letter, so HUD, and they asked us to go back and also write a letter on our own.
On our own letterhead. Correct. Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
So, Pat, you talking about the new DV funding,
Okay,
is that on top of the other one last year?
that's correct.
So, if you have three, then I can write it.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
If you don't want to. That's what I'm saying. This is all Chinese.
Lots of copying and pasting.
One more question, Pat. I'm sorry to keep interrupting.
No,
Do you know if there is, if this is a question I can even ask, if there are any possible new applicants this year?
I think there's three on here right now.
Oh, that's amazing. That is amazing. If any of those have any problems or whatever, I am more than willing to share any information or the history behind all of this. If you need anything from me, please, you're welcome to reach out to me. I have a little bit more leniency to be able to help you than Pat does with her being the collaborative applicant.
Right.
Sandy, could you put your contact information in the chat?
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I'm gonna actually put a false number down there, but I'm just joking. I sure will.
Thank you for that, Sandy. That will be a renewal. Would that be, it should move over. Yes, ma'am.
But it. I'm not even.
I don't know if it's even in there. Well, it's in there because you did it last year there, so it should be there, yeah. You should be able to copy it over. Should be able to, yep. Thank you for that, Sandy.
So a quick question, okay, so because there's, like you were saying, Miss Sandy, there's 2 new people who are applying for this grant. Okay, it's like one big grant together, is that correct?
It's one
Is that
pot of money. It's one pot of money, yes.
All right, and it's
That can be used for those specific program types in our community. Now, the reason that we all come together and talk about this and then do the scoring is, and I'm just gonna pick on Lindsay, if Lindsay has had an application in a program for 10 years, and then last year, instead of serving the people she should have, and, you know, making progress towards improving people's lives, her system performance shows that she did not, then a program from ABC agency who has a track record of performance and everything else, then they would score higher in the scoring. Did that answer your question before you asked it?
kind of, sort of. I guess what I'm saying is, okay, let's just say, there's one person that's dealing with something that haven't been offered yet, right? If that organization scores low in like one part, but is strong in something that is not provided, which would it be overridden? You get what I'm saying? Overlooked or scored differently?
What is important from the eyes of HUD and what they put emphasis on are the parts of the or the scoring that are scored the highest.
Okay. All right,
Okay.
thank you.
But it is true that individual applications can reduce that score, correct? I mean, when it's, I'm saying,
Individual applications can reduce the score.
so you got the COC application.
Right,
where
right,
everything goes in.
Right. Oh, absolutely, absolutely. But what I thought what Antoinette was asking was if this project has never done it, so they didn't have this, but they offer this, this, and this where the others don't. Will it, if it meets the HUD priorities and the local priorities, it would be prioritized, just. Those things like the types of programs that the community said we need and the types of people we need to be serving and those kinds of things, those are very high scoring questions on the scoring sheet.
So let me make sure that I'd like to interject here. So EV bonus monies that's out there, I don't forgot how much it was, 149,000. And then we are offering a COC bonus of the 80-something thousand. So Pat, correct me if I'm wrong, they could go after one of those. And then once they go after that pot of money, if they score higher than a renewal project, it may kick a renewal project down into tier 2.
Correct.
So you have to go after one of those 2 types of monies, correct?
You do. You have, but those are allocated for all the other types of programs. Absolutely. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Whether it be rapid rehousing, permanent supportive housing, transitional to rapid rehousing, or supportive service for coordinated entry. And that's
so if I go after a COC, but the COC bonus money, which is like 83-something thousand.
That's correct.
And I want to do permanent supportive housing or whatever it may be.
Correct.
Then when you get scored, you would score as which I'm not part of that committee, but if you, that's why I want you to correct me. But if they come in as a new project and they say, I want 83-something thousand, I want that bonus money.
Correct.
Okay. You will go to the scoring committee just along with all the renewals and everything.
Yes.
And if you meet more priorities, than any of the renewals do or whatever, then it will kick possibly one of our projects down into tier 2. Doesn't necessarily mean that as a continuum, we will lose that money in our community, because like Pat mentioned earlier, we may score above the medium and they say, okay, well, y'all still will get all of your money. So there is a possibility that a renewal will get cut if they are down at the bottom of the list and get knocked down into tier 2. We have had that happen almost every year for the last several years, that other like the DV project, other projects that have come in and applied for new monies, they scored higher than the renewals did. And we were at risk of losing some of our renewal money. We have been fortunate enough to score above the median, and we have not lost any of that money. So, but that does not mean it will not happen. That's how come you have to give your best foot forward, especially if you're a new project coming in. But you are scored no differently to a certain sense than a renewal. Correct, Pat? Am I correct on all of that?
Correct.
Does that help you?
Yes, thank you.
All right, do we have everybody's name and organization in the chat box? It looks like I'm missing someone. Okay. Baja, I don't have your name or organization. I think everybody else here is accounted for. Any other questions? We're going to give it about a minute just for everybody to stop. Be able to ask any questions or express any concerns. We'll give it to 2:23, and then I'll give you back some of your time, and I'll go ahead and try and make these adjustments now to the slide deck, so everyone has the information as expeditiously as I can. Go ahead, Tay, you have something to say?
The workshop that's at 3,
Yep.
what is it pertaining to again?
I'm sorry?
What is that pertaining to again?
It is being noticed for funding of the for available funding. That's new funding coming into the community. It's not a renewal or anything else. These are all have to be all new projects that are available for a 3-year grant period for all housing services that we've talked about earlier, but to include case management, case management, street outreach, HMIS, coordinated entry, just about anything you can think of that can be funded, but it's a 3-year grant. So you won't be doing a renewal of that one next year. The thought process is, and what's been said and floated is at the end of those 3 years, it will then become hopefully part of our annual renewal information.
So with that, like, have it been supportive services that I've provided for that share with one of my rapid housing grants? Does that make it like?
It has to be a completely new program. So it could be supportive services for case management for rapid rehousing, but it would have to, it couldn't be tied to it. It could be a new case management that doesn't already have case management. It can't be an extension of your case management.
Support services also include utilities and those kind of things. If you look at that, it's used for all of that too.
Right, but
So like, could I have?
but but you can't fund it, those clients that are already in that other program.
So I couldn't like pay utilities for my rapid rehousing?
No.
Okay.
Sorry.
Very helpful.
Now you could have just case management for whomever.
And just do salary.
Right. It would be your community case management or your DV case management. Sure. All right. Any other questions? We're at that time. I'm going to go ahead and attempt to make these changes by 3 o'clock. They probably will not get done until after my 3 o'clock presentation because I don't want to rush and mess something up, but I'll get started on making those changes. And for For those of you who won't be joining us at 3 o'clock, I'll see you another time. For those of you who will, we're gonna shut this down so I can bring up the other one and we can have 2 separate recordings and all those other things. Makes it easier for the folks who are posting it. And we'll talk with you soon. See you later, guys. Bye.